If you have lived on this planet in the last 10 years, you have probably heard the story of Annabelle, the haunted doll. Well, let me tell you, most of the information, the movies, all this is absolute crap. Yeah, I said it. That is not the true story of Annabelle. If you want to see the true story of Annabelle, well, then grab your cup of tea and come and join me. I'm going to tell it. It's Sunday again, my silky friends. You know what that means. It's another Silky Sunday story time. You know, I covered Robert the Doll week before last. You know, I asked about, would you want to see Annabelle? And some of you did. So I'm going to tell you the true story of Annabelle. I mean, it is not the Hollywood version. It's, in fact, not anywhere close. I really feel like if they had dramatized the real story, it would have been great. But no. Today's tea, I have loose tea. She feeling loose? I don't know. I'm sorry. Yeah, whatever. I have my tea ball, and this is raspberry black tea. This story is very dark, even though it may not be as dark as portrayed in Hollywood. Are you ready to get started? Today's hat. You know why I picked this sweet little hat? Annabelle is nothing like you think she would look. Here's the Hollywood version. This is the real Annabelle. Isn't she sweet? It's precious. This story is not as vintage as some of the others. It starts around 1970. There were some roommates named Donna and Angie. Now, I dug and dug trying to find actual interviews or something with these people, but they ain't talking. So we have to make do with the story as told by Ed and Lorraine Warren. Now, I'm sure if you've seen any of the Conjuring movies, you are very familiar with Ed and Lorraine. But anyway, in the 1970s, Donna and Angie were in nursing school, and it was a birthday celebration for Donna, and her mom bought her this Raggedy Ann doll. I don't get it. When I was in nursing school, there were a ton of things I needed more than a doll, but whatever. Some stories say that the mother bought it new. Other stories, and most of them say that she bought it from a hobby store second hand. In either case, I mean, it kind of looks normal, right? Well, looks can be What happened? My light just went out. What? What the heck? My light just stopped. Okay. Pause the video. Let's get this light set. Does that look right? That was weird. My power cord just started heating up like crazy. Totally unplanned. Let's get back to the story. Donna gets this doll, and she's really cute, and as, you know, young girls do, she put it on her bed. You know, at first she kind of just noticed that when she would come back home from her classes, like maybe Annabelle's legs would be crossed or her arms, or she'd just kind of be in a slightly different position. Well, she didn't think much of it. I mean, you know, she could have bumped the bed, whatever. So this goes on for a little while, and she's not really noticing a whole lot or thinking a whole lot about it. But it is in the back of her mind. Then it changes. Annabelle starts moving. Like, they'll both be out all day, nobody's in the apartment, and all of a sudden Annabelle is in a different room. Well, this kind of sounds like Robert, right? Annabelle's moving all over the house. Sometimes she's in the living room. Sometimes she's sitting at Angie's door. It's just kind of weird. And the girls are, okay, this is not normal. We know nobody's in the house moving this doll around. Well, now, Angie had a boyfriend named Lou. And Lou used to come over a lot. As young couples, they spend a lot of time together in the evenings. And from the very beginning, Lou hated this doll. Like, he could just feel like evil, ick. And he kept telling the girls, like, there is something wrong with this doll. And they're like, oh, whatever, Lou, whatever. I mean, they probably thought he was pranking him, just trying to scare him. But no, he didn't want to have anything to do with it. Sometimes Lou would stay over on the couch, whatever, and he would spend the night, or he would just take a nap. One day, Lou is taking a nap, and he's on the couch. Annabelle is in the other room. And he starts having these nightmares where Annabelle is like trying to crawl up his leg. And then he has repeat nightmares. It seems like every time he falls asleep at their apartment, he's got these nightmares of this Raggedy Ann doll. Well, one day his nightmare is so bad that he dreams she's literally choking him and he can't move. And, when he finally wakes up, he's like coughing. It was so real. He felt like Annabelle was actually trying to kill him. But still, the girls are like, you know what, Lou, you're so full of crap. In the meantime, while Lou is having all of these feelings and dreams, the girls come home one day and there is a note, like laying on the floor, like written, I think it was like a red crayon or something. And it says, help. And then another one shows up later saying, help. It's either help me or help us. But the weird thing about this note is that it is on parchment paper. Donna and Angie don't even own parchment paper, have never had parchment paper. There's none in the house. Lou didn't bring it in. So where's it coming from? Where's Annabelle getting this? And what does this mean, this help me, help us? At this point, I would be freaked out. I'm not going to lie. So when the girls start getting these letters or these notes on the floor, they realize something very paranormal is going on. And even though they weren't really afraid, they thought, let's call a psychic medium because we need to know what's going on. That probably did not help the situation. But anyway, this psychic comes over and she does this reading on the doll, and she says that this doll is actually inhabited by a little girl named Annabelle Higgins, who died on that property. Now, this was before the apartment complex had been built. It was a field, and there are two different stories. One is that her body was found. She was about 8, I think, years old, somewhere around there. And I don't know if it was murder. There's not a whole lot of information on this. Most of the stories say that Annabelle Higgins was killed in a car crash, but right at that spot. So the psychic says, yeah, this is Annabelle. She doesn't mean to hurt anybody. Like, she is just lonely. She's stuck here and she's lonely. I mean, I don't know why the medium just didn't help her ease on over to the other side. I don't know. I don't know how that works. But she says this little girl has inhabited the doll because she's lonely and she wants to, just be with people. So Donna and Angie, being nursing students and compassionate, they're like, oh, little Annabelle. So they name the doll Annabelle. And they're like, okay, you're welcome to, inhabit the doll. They thought it was kind of cool having a haunted doll, that was of a little girl. Fast forward a little bit of time. Angie and Lou are sitting on the couch and they're in the living room. They're just spending, couple time together. Everything's normal. The house is quiet. And all of a sudden they hear all this commotion in Donna's bedroom. And Donna's not there. So they kind of get scared. They think like somebody's breaking in. So Lou, being the man, he gets up and he goes into Donna's room. And there sits Annabelle. She's no longer on the bed. She's across the room glaring at him. So Lou gets this really heavy feeling. And he's like, he's had enough with this doll. He's going to pick her up. He's going to put her back on the bed. And all of a sudden, he feels this pain, like this searing hot pain in his back and chest. This oppressive feeling comes over him. And then he feels like claw marks. He opens his shirt, and there are literal claw marks down his chest. Okay, so now the girls believe him. So what's weird about this wound is that, the scratches were pretty deep, but within 2 days, they were completely healed up. Like, there wasn't a mark. You know how usually you have like a pink mark or something there, even when the scab falls off? No, there was zero. After this incident with Lou and the scratches and all that, Donna and Angie realized, look, there is something wrong with this doll. We're calling a priest. So they call the local priest. He hears the story. He happens to know Ed and Lorraine, and he decides this is above his pay grade, which was probably a very good decision on his part. So he brings them in, and they take a look at Annabelle and assess the whole situation, and they say, no, this is not the spirit of a little girl. This is actually a demon. Yeah, because spirits don't inhabit, usually, inanimate objects. Like, they want to possess a soul. And Donna, they're after your soul. You can imagine, Donna was like, get that doll out of my house. So Ed and Lorraine decide to take the doll. There's a lot of controversy over Ed and Lorraine. Some people say, they were all in it for the hype and the money and the movies, whatever. Now, this was way back when they were doing their investigations, so there was no monetary, perk for them regarding Annabelle at that time. So whether this story is 100% true, I don't know. I wasn't there. But Ed and Lorraine say that they could feel so much evil coming off this doll, they agreed to take the doll. And when they were driving the doll home, they put it in the back seat, like they buckled it up in the back seat. They were very uncomfortable with this whole thing. So they decided that they were going to take back roads rather than the highway, because if something happened to the car, if this evil presence caused some kind of problem, they didn't want to be going like 65 miles an hour. So they're slowly going down some back roads to their house, and the steering wheel keeps like locking up, and they'll have to stop the car, and then the brakes start going out. Like, there's all kind of mechanical problems. It takes them like 3 times as long to get home with this doll, because they have to, keep stopping, or the engine starts stalling out. Yeah, that's probably when I would have lit the doll on fire. I'm not even playing. Once they got home, they started having all kinds of paranormal activity. Annabelle started running around just like she did with Donna and Angie, and she was kind of out of control. So finally, one day, Ed sits Annabelle on his desk, and this is where he says, don't know if it's true, he says she levitated up off the desk. After this incident, Ed decides, you know what, I'm going to call a priest, and we're going to try to exorcise this doll. The priest comes, and he's basically like, I am not doing an exorcism on a doll. Have you lost your mind? He tells the Warrens that this doll can't hurt you. It's literally a doll. So he leaves. But here's where it gets spooky. On his way home, after just dissing Annabelle, he has a car accident. Yeah, his brakes fail, his car flips over, and his car is totaled. Now, he survives. He was pretty badly hurt, but he never did that exorcism. So Ed and Lorraine are left with this doll that levitates and runs around and apparently causes accidents. So they decide they're going to put her in a glass case, and that is where she is today. They have a whole haunted museum, and if you want the information, I can leave a link below. But they have signs all up on this doll. They have a lot of other artifacts from other haunted objects. This is one museum I'm not interested in seeing. As you approach Annabelle, there are big warning signs. Like, there's no warning signs for Robert, but Annabelle, there's a warning sign. And I guess it's fine if you just walk in, look at Annabelle, and leave. But one day, this guy and his girlfriend come in. He's on a motorcycle, and he's young. He's a little bit cocky. And he starts taunting Annabelle. And he's like, do your worst, girl. Like, I want to see you scratch me like you scratched Lou. You can't do anything. Do your worst to me. And nothing happens. So, he's like, see, I told you. She's not haunted. Well, they get on the motorcycle and they're leaving. And somewhere on that journey, he skids off the road and goes flying off the motorcycle. Both of him and his girlfriend both go flying through the air, and he is killed. The girlfriend is badly hurt. She's in the hospital for like a year, but she does survive. Ain't that some tea? So anyway, this is where Annabelle stays and where she is to this day. You can go see her. I would suggest not. Comparatively between Annabelle and Robert, the verses. We love this. Robert versus Annabelle. Annabelle versus Robert. First of all, Robert has been doing this for over 100 years, so he's got some time on Annabelle. Annabelle seems to have the worst of the physical things. I mean, Robert's just locking people in the attic and, running through the house. Annabelle seems to, if the stories are true, she seems to have done worse. But here are my final thoughts on Robert versus Annabelle. Robert has a very silky air to him. I mean, you just have to ask permission to take his picture. Yes, he did some stuff in his career. But basically, he had an actual relationship with, Eugene Otto, and it spanned a long period of time, and then with Myrtle Rooters. And so I would say Robert is a little bit more personable. Annabelle, she's just a hussy. That's all you can say. She's just mean for being mean. She does have a death attributed to her, so that is bad, and the scratches. However, Annabelle doesn't get letters every day. Robert literally gets emails, letters, videos, all the time, with people apologizing to him for coming up on him in the museum. It seems to me that Robert is, first of all, he's a little more sensitive. Who knew? It seems like it takes more to get Annabelle active, so, I don't know. They both have their points. As far as hauntings, and I say this because there is so much from Annabelle that has been made up by Hollywood, and there is a question of the Warrens. I mean, I don't know. I can see where fame and money and opportunity can make you embellish on a story. So, to me, Annabelle is a little bit more sketchy. So I think as far as believability, Robert the Doll's haunting is my winner. Annabelle, certainly a scary story. If it's true, she's done some stuff. Tell me, what do you think? Who do you think is the most haunted? Who would you be more scared of, Robert the Doll or Annabelle? All right, I hope you enjoyed this in-depth look at Annabelle. What do you think about the Warrens? Were they for real? They seem to be sincere a lot of times, but there are a lot of, people that are saying not. Of course, you're always going to have haters, so it might have been 100% true. But who knows? They both passed away, and so, there you go. We'll never know. But what we do know is that you probably shouldn't buy a secondhand doll. If you like stories that are vintage, crime, mystery, paranormal, then you need to hit that subscribe button right now, because that is all I do here, and drink tea. So, I hope you have a great week. I will see you next time, and stay silky.